Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, in this video, I'm going to show you how to install Hackintosh Sonoma the new way. So, you might be wondering, what is the new way? So the new way utilizes the use of a Type 1 hypervisor called Proxmox. So a hypervisor is a virtualization platform that runs virtual machines. Type 1 hypervisors run bare metal on that system with only the virtualization software running. This is obviously different to the Type 2 hypervisors, which run on top of a host OS like Windows 11. So it basically means that you're going to get one-to-one performance to a bare metal Hackintosh that some of you might switch over from. But I'll explain this later in the video. So enough talking, let's get into it. So first of all, we need the Proxmox hypervisor. So this step's pretty easy. All you need to do is go to the Proxmox website, which is proxmox.com. So you just want to open up a web browser of your choice and go to proxmox.com. If we head to the download section and then go to Proxmox virtual environment, then click ISO images, we want to download the latest version. So at the time of this video it's version 8, so we just click download. You can see that it'll start to download. So whilst that's downloading, we need to download an app called Balena Etcher. So this will allow us to write the Proxmox ISO to a USB drive and therefore make it bootable, which makes it bootable by the operating system and accessible for the BIOS that allows us to install it onto our system. So it'll be available to download from balena.io/etcher. It's a weird spelling, so make sure you spell it correct. But once you have, you just want to click download Etcher and download it for your system. So I'm running Windows here, so I'm just going to click download on the Windows installer. So once both of them are done, which I'll get onto in a moment once they're finished, we're ready to flash our USB drive. So I'll be back once my downloads are finished. So you can see both downloads are completed. First we want to double click on the Balena Etcher setup file and install it like a normal application, which I'll show you now. This will allow us to obviously write the ISO images that we just downloaded. So read through the license agreement. I've read through this plenty of times, so I'm going to agree to it, but that's entirely up to you. And then it'll just begin to install. Pretty straightforward, no real brains to do that. You just need to know that it won't take long. Once that's done, if you go to the start menu, it should be there, Balena Etcher. I want to just open that, so single click on the start menu, and then we get the actual program. So I want to click flash from file, go to our download section, and then select our ISO images. We double click, then select target isn't populated yet because we need to insert our USB flash drive. So you need a flash drive over 4 GB in size. I've got a 32 gig SanDisk that I'm going to plug into the PC now. So once that's plugged in, if I go to select target, I just want to click the tick box next to the target that I want to flash to, then click select one, and then if I click flash there, wait for this to actually start up, and then just if you get a command prompt window, you can click yes. On macOS it does ask for your password, so just put that in. But once you've done that, you should see that it should begin to flash in a few moments. Just to note as well, all the USB contents will be wiped, so if you have photos on there or whatever, or files, you better copy them over before you start, as your USB will be fully wiped. Same with the Proxmox installation. If you don't back up your files, etc., Proxmox is going to wipe out your whole drive. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to erase Windows, so be it, but you'll lose all your files. Or if you have a spare SSD, you can install it on that. But no, I'm just going to wait for this to flash over and then I'll meet you back here when it's finished. So at some point you'll get to a validating stage. This is normal, it's just checking that the contents of the USB are valid. But you can just go ahead and click the skip option, it really doesn't matter. But once you're validated, it'll say flash completed. So it's as easy as that. So now we're obviously going to unplug this USB, or you want to plug it into the machine that you're actually installing Proxmox on. So again, do note that the machine that you're installing Proxmox on, the SSD that you do choose it to be on, will be fully wiped. So we need to plug it into the PC that we want to choose it, and boot it up. So give me a moment. So I'm installing it on this machine, so I'm literally going to reboot the machine. And obviously Windows Update decides to go now, so oh no, it's just decided to go away. So I'm using a virtual machine here, but don't stress, it's the exact same. So you basically want to hold the boot options key, which on Asus I know is F8. Once you've done that, you want to go down to your USB that's listed. So mine's UEFI SanDisk Cruiser Glide 3.0. So I'm going to press enter on that, but you just need to find your USB and press enter. If it doesn't load like mine, no worries. Basically, I just need to disable secure boot. So mine's here. I just need to disable this. Maybe the same for you as well. I'm gonna reset and just try it again. If not, I'll be back in a few moments. See, there you go. So you've got two options on the new V8 Proxmox release. I'm going to do the graphical release because obviously we want a GUI wherever possible with Linux. But you can see some text goes down the screen, and I won't keep you waiting. I'll be back when it's booted up. So here we are. The install is booted. Read through the EULA. I've read this plenty of times yet again, so I'm going to agree to it. So the next part is crucial. So you want to select the correct hard disk that you want to install on. I've only got one here, so I'm going to select that. But make sure you select the correct one, otherwise you're going to wipe out a disk that you don't want to. Then click on next. Select your country and region, mine's already populated. Select a root password, which I'm going to do now. And an email address. I'm just going to change that. Click on next. Next is networking, so I'll give you device a host name. So I'm just going to go on Hackintosh.local. IP address, you can leave that there, but I do recommend setting your DNS to Cloudflare's. Click next, untick reboot after installation, and click install. So this could take a while, depending on the speed of your disks and the speed of the USB drive. So I'll be back when it's ready. So you can see that the install is finished. It says installation successful. So it's telling us to go to that IP address on reboot. So if we click reboot at the bottom right, unplug our USB drive from the PC that we've installed on, as it says there. And you may get some input-output errors, don't worry about that. They should go away when you reboot. So it's rebooting. Obviously yours will show different to Proxmox, it's because I'm virtualizing this. But you should get a boot menu, just leave it at the default and it'll start to boot up. So once it's booted, it shouldn't take very long at all, especially on an SSD drive. As soon as it's booted, it'll tell us the next instruction. So the next part is it's saying welcome to Proxmox virtual environment. Use your web browser to configure the server, connect to, and then it's given us an IP address. So let's go to another computer and configure using that IP address. So here we are on another system. So all we're going to do is go to https://192.168.0.35:8006. You can see now we're greeted with the login page. We go to root, and then the password is the one that you set in the installation, which I need to make sure I get correct, so give me a moment. Once done, you'll get a no valid subscription. So this means that you won't get any support from Proxmox, which is fine, of course. So I'm just clicking on OK, and now if I go to the sorry, I've logged into my main server here, but once you've logged in, you should see a screen like a blank Proxmox fresh installation. So basically, let me just get myself on that screen. So this is a screen that you'll see as soon as you log in. If we click on the node Hackintosh and go to summary, you can see that it shows up here. Because I'm virtualizing this, I've not given it much RAM, so that might prove difficult later, but not to fear. So most of you will only have one disk, so you can see that local is at 43 gigabytes and the LVM is at 62. I'm going to combine them to get the full 120 gigabytes. To do this, we need the commands that will be linked in the description below. So I've got the command from one of my old posts. So if you click on your node, go to shell, paste the first command in, which is lv remove /dev/pve/data, press enter, do y, and then it should say successfully removed. You then want to go to data center at the top left, go to storage, the local LVM, click on remove, and then yes. Then we're going to do the next command, which I'll grab now. So this command resizes the main root partition with this command. So if we press enter, it successfully resized the main root partition. And then one more command. This will actually reclaim all the space. Once done, if we go to local, you can see we've got the full 122 gigabytes. The only thing left to do is go to data center, storage, double click on local and select disk image containing snippets also. Click OK, and then now we're ready to actually prefer to install Sonoma. So if you visit the link in the description below, you'll see a page like this. Obviously mine looks a bit different because I'm obviously editing this video, so the video is not populated at the top left, the top right, sorry. But you'll have various download links. So the HSV boot ISO, if we click on download, when I download it, it's 150 megabytes, not big at all. We then want to download the getting started ISO. This will have all the tools and configurations, which will allow us to configure our Hackintosh. So if we click download on that, it's about 600 megabytes in size, and then obviously when that's downloaded, last of all is going to be the Sonoma ISO, which is over 16 gigabytes in size. So obviously depending on the bandwidth, it could take a varied amount of time. So I'm going to wait for the HSV ISO to download, and then we'll do Sonoma. So with that ISO downloaded, I can now download the Sonoma ISO, which is 15.6 gigabytes in size. So whilst that downloads, I've actually already got it downloaded, so there's no point in me actually downloading it again. But whilst it downloads for you, you can go back to the Proxmox UI, click on local, go to ISO images, upload, select file, and then select the file that you want to upload. So the boot ISO first, upload it, and then do the same again for the HSVE ISO. Then we're just going to wait for the actual Sonoma to download, and then we'll upload that the same too. So Sonoma ISO is downloaded, so I've selected it, click upload again, and we're going to wait for this. It shouldn't take long because you get gigabit speeds to the server instead of your actual download speed. So this means you get 1000 megabits per second instead of, for example, 100 megabits per second if that's your internet speed. Mine is 300 megabits per second, so that would be 30 megabytes per second, or just over that. But here you get 100 megabytes per second. Anyway, we'll wait for this to upload, and then we'll crack on and get the VM set up. So you can see it says task OK now, so basically we're ready to do the virtual machine. Obviously, because I'm virtualizing this Proxmox machine, I'm going to switch over to my main server right now. So I'm on the main server now. We're ready to just click at the top right, create VM. Then we're going to give it a name, so I'm just going to call it Hackintosh Sonoma 2, because I've already got one called that. I want to select a DVD image, so for you it'll be under local. I've got it under a NAS, so I'm selecting that. I want to select the HSV boot ISO first. Then for the guest OS type, select other, go to system. The machine is going to be Q35. The BIOS firmware is going to be OVMF UEFI. EFI storage, just pick a selection and untick pre-enroll keys. This is very important to untick pre-enroll keys. Then tick QEMU agent, go to disks, select the bus device to verte or block, select a storage part, and then go and type in the disk capacity. I'm just leaving it at 121 gigs. Then go to CPU, cores set that to at least 4, I'd recommend. And then select your CPU type to Haswell. On memory, select at least 4 gigabytes for Sonoma. Network, untick firewall and select the model as VirtAO. Then click next and then finish. The virtual machine will now be created. Once it is, we're ready to start attaching the other volumes. So the virtual machine is now created. If we click on it, go to hardware, add CD DVD drive. Make sure that the bus device is set to IDE and then 0. Go to storage and then select local for you, but mine's the NAS. Go to ISO images and then select the Sonoma Beta 2 ISO. Then click add. Finally, go to add DVD drive again. Select the bus to SATA, storage to the local for you, but for me it's my NAS. And then select the HSV ISO. Click add, and that's the first part done. That, I would say, is the easiest part. The next part is where it gets a little bit more complex. You want to go over to your node at the top, then shell, and then you'll get a Linux shell. You want to go to you want to press Ctrl L to clear the screen, and then you want to type in nano /etc /pve /qemu server / and then the VMID. You can see the VMID is 114 for me, so I'm going to put 114.conf. Press enter and you'll be greeted with a screen like this. Want to scroll down to IDE 0, and media equals CD-ROM needs to be deleted and replaced with cache equals unsafe. Same with the IDE 2, the media equals CD-ROM needs to be replaced with cached unsafe. Same with SATA 0, which is a bit further down. Media CD-ROM needs to be replaced with cache unsafe. Once done, you're going to go to the description below to my blog post and paste the arguments for your system. You can see mine are pasted in. So all I'm going to do is Ctrl X, Y, enter. Now go back to my virtual machine. On the hardware section, you can see instead of DVD drives, now they're hard drives. If we go to options, boot order, we want to untick net 0 and set to 0 for the boot, and move the HSV boot ISO to the top, and then follow that by the Sonoma Beta 2 ISO. Click on OK, go to console. I'm going to go full screen so it's easier for you to see, and click start now. So all we need to do is just play the waiting game until it starts. You can see we're in the OpenCore boot menu now. If we press enter, enter again. In the shell we want to type in fs0 : which sometimes proves difficult when you're doing it in a UK keyboard layout, so give me a moment. And then do /, which I'm unsure. Yeah, so basically you need to do Alt-GR and then the actual backspace. Sorry, you need to do Alt-GR and then the hash key. Mine keeps doing that for some reason. So all you do is the Alt-GR and the / key, or the hash key if you're on the UK keyboard layout. Otherwise you can just enter it as normal. So you do fs0 : system / it'll take a few moments for me, so hold on. /library / core services, and then / boot.efi. Then press enter. You should then see the Apple logo, which is promising, and the install should then start to boot. So this will take a few moments, usually doesn't take that long, and you should be worried if it takes more than 2 minutes. So here we are in the recovery mode. Don't worry about that, that's how we're going to install it. If we double click into disk utility, go to view at the top, show all devices, select Apple Link Vertile Block Media. You can see 128 GB in size. Click erase, name it whatever you want. I'm doing macOS as the name. Click on erase, and then give it a moment to erase. Click done when it's finished. Close out disk utility, and then double click on install macOS beta. At this point it may freeze up a little bit, just be patient and leave it a moment. Then click on continue. Again, the installer may be a bit slow and you could get the spinning wheel. Don't worry about it, it happens to everyone. Usually this is worse if you're running off a NAS like I am. So don't worry about it, it should go away soon. So read all the terms and conditions. I have many times, so I'm going to click agree twice, and then select the disk. So obviously we want to select macOS, not the getting started folder or the Sonoma installer. Click on continue, and you can see about 18 minutes remaining. So from here you're going to basically need to wait. The system will reboot a couple of times. All you need to keep doing is pressing enter on the default value. I'm going to skip along now and meet you on the actual initial setup screen of macOS Sonoma, and then we can go from there. So once you've gone through that waiting phase, you'll be greeted with a screen like this. So you want to select your country. I'm in the United Kingdom. Then click on continue. Keyboard layout is fine for me. I've not got any accessibility with vision or anything, so I'm going to click not now. You can read about this, I'm just clicking continue. Migration assistant, you want to click on not now. Apple ID, definitely click setup later. Click skip. Terms and conditions, again I've read this many times, so I'm clicking agree, but you do need to read through them too. Click on agree again. Then enter a username and password. So full name, and then fill out the necessary fields. Click on continue once you've done that. And then this could take a few moments whilst creating the account, so just be patient. So I'm going to not use location services, so I'm clicking continue and don't use. I'm going to select my time zone, click continue. Analytics, just click continue again. I'm going to set screen time up later. Again, this could take a few moments. Choose your look, I'm just going to stick with dark. Click on continue. And then we should be planted into the Sonoma desktop. So you can see it's just asking me to set up my keyboard, which I've done, and we're on the Sonoma desktop. So this is it, you've successfully set up Sonoma. Obviously there's a few configuration steps. So if we double click into the Getting Started folder that's on the desktop, and drag the Get Started folder to the desktop, you can see we've got a README file that you can follow. I'm just going to go through some basics here, and then you can follow on from that. So once it's copied, I'll tell you what to do next. So it's copied, so I'm closing this now and double clicking into that Getting Started folder. You have two folders, you have Tools and EFIs. First we're going to double click into EFIs and then select the right one for you. In the README file it does mention how to select the right one. I know that mine's a native GPU, so I'm double clicking on the native GPUs and then double click inside of that and move the EFI folder to the desktop, just like I've done. Go back and go to Tools, right click on Open Core Configurator and click Open. And then once it opens, just click Open again. Once it opens, on the menu bar go to Tools, Mount EFI. Then we're going to mount the EFI under Apple Inc. Virteo Block Media. Click Mount Partition. Enter the password of your account. And then click Open Partition. Once done, open up a new Finder window, go on the desktop, and then copy the EFI folder to that partition. So the partition will be empty at first, but now it's filled with that EFI folder. If I click Close, unmount the partition. What I usually like to do, just for a pain-free experience, is unmount the partition, wait a while, which I've just done now, and then mount it again and see that EFI folder is still there. So it is indeed. So if I unmount it again for the final time, close Open Core Configurator and then shut down the virtual machine. We just need to remove, I'm just going to untick that, click shut down. We're just going to need to remove the boot ISO and also the HSV Getting Started ISO too. So to do that, escape, hardware, eject IDE2, the 150 megabyte one, click detach at the top, yes, and also the SATA 0 disk, click detach and yes. You can delete the unused disks, but at any time if you double click you can add them back in case you need to do any configuration. We'll go back to console and then click start now. The VM should then theoretically start on its own without the need of any backups. If it doesn't, like mine, no worries. I just need to do some research in the background why mine's not working, and I'll tell you. So the reason why it didn't work is because the boot option is not selected, so we need to make sure we tick Virteo. Then we go to console, start up the guest, it should now boot on its own. So it's just sort of things like that. You just need to tinker around and make sure you know what's wrong. But you can see now it shows up. If I press enter, macOS will begin to boot to the login screen. Now, what I recommend you do now is once it's booted to the desktop and you know it works, you're going to create something called a snapshot, which is a great feature of the new way, baked into Proxmox. You can see here that we've loaded to the login screen. So to create a snapshot, all you need to do is go over to the web interface, select your VM, go to snapshots. If it says the current guest configuration does not support taking new snapshots, you need to make sure that you don't have any IDE drives inserted. So if you click stop, yes, and then detach that, you won't have any issues. If you go to snapshots now, you can take a snapshot. So if I click take snapshot and do clean install, and then give it a description, just as I installed this OS. Click take snapshot, just like that, task OK. So if I go to start now, we can mess around with Proxmox and all the features, which is great compared to bare metal. If you do want to see a video on how to get actual GPU pass-through working, please leave this video a like and comment below. But I hope you enjoyed this video on setting up Sonoma the new way. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing, as we're close to 5,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.